Folks, if there's anything that I love to see, it's electoral representation for people of color, okay? If you look back in American history, we've made it real goddamn hard for black people to vote. We have. We really have. We're still doing it, by the way. We're still purging black voter registrations. We're still trying to introduce laws, putting barriers up in between voting. We're still getting rid of ballot boxes in neighborhoods which are majority people of color. We're still making it tough for them. But I like, listen, the general trend, at least if you're starting from slavery, is positive, and that's great. And what have black people done with that vote? They voted for Democrats. They voted for Democrats. Now, I know what you're thinking. Democrats, how cringe. Did they not do the KKK? Well, sure they did. But we don't judge the viability of a candidate based on the historical precedent of their party. We judge them based on what they offer now. What do they plan to do now? And judging from the fact that Republicans have essentially adopted the party of white supremacy as their motif, like they're very comfortable just sort of openly repping that, the Republicans have had a really tough time garnering black votes. And as a matter of fact, I believe 94% of black votes went to Hillary Clinton back in 2016. And I imagine that trend is going to be fairly comparable here in 2020. And yet, if you Google or YouTube search the phrase Democratic Plantation, you will find video after video after video of black Republicans telling you that you, my fellow black people, are living in a mental cotton plantation. You are the Democratic Party's bitch. And only voting for a Republican can free you from this turmoil. Now, what's funny is, if you look at your average walk away or Democratic Plantation video, its view count will be higher than the total number of black people who are going to be voting for Trump in 2020. So these videos aren't actually doing much to meaningfully affect the black population. What they are functionally is a type of virtue signal. See, Republicans are racist. They really are. If you like Trump, you're probably a racist, or you're okay with racism, but those are the only two options. And people don't like thinking they're racist. And what's more, being racist is optically kind of bad. It makes it easy to attack you. So, what you do is you find a couple of soulless, dark-skinned grifters, and you give them a fuckload of money, and you say, hey, you be my shield. You stand in front of me. Even though the vast majority of black people are voting Democrat, pretend that you are the beginning of a movement, a tide of black people switching over to the Republican Party, okay? Act like a populist, even though you're being funded by billionaires to deliver talking points created by committees, you know? Speak to the black population, even though the only people watching these videos are white people. Do everything you can to make it seem as though being a Democrat is actually the racist position. This has spawned a whole genre of videos that are 100% about the idea of the Democratic Plantation. It's a term coined by none other than legendary intellectual force, Candace Owens. Last time I watched a Candace Owens video, she went full 1350 on me. You know, black people commit 52% of the crime despite being 13% of the population. That's a real problem. We have to look at that, you know? The real good stuff. Remember the RNC, how like half the people they brought on were black? I tell you, the RNC was the only Republican-led event that will ever have a disproportionately black representation, okay? Got to throw those people up in there. Republicans love identity politics. Now, I want to be perfectly clear right off the bat, okay? I don't like liberal identity politics. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, I don't give a fuck about your skin color. I care about your arguments, okay? Republicans are insanely shameless about how aggressively they use identity politics. It is unbelievable how aggressive they are about it. Democrats don't do that. Listen, lefties make fun of Democrats for being like, ooh, a pansexual drone strike bomber. But when it comes to Democrat actual messaging, for the most part, they just try to sell basic ideas. They don't just throw a black person in front of the screen and say, I'm black, and if you disagree with me, you're racist. That's not generally how they go. The whole liberal id poll is more of a corporate thing. Republicans aggressively weaponize identity politics in a way that, frankly, Democrats should be envious of. But again, it wouldn't work if the Democrats did it. The Republicans are only doing it to throw up a facade. Oh, Hillary Clinton did it a lot. That's true. Hillary Clinton was especially bad. Who else? Didn't the fucking guy from Texas? Come on, the Democratic presidential candidate. Come on, he did this a lot too. Beto O'Rourke. Yeah, he did it as well. I got that feeling from him too. Pete Buttigieg probably also as well. Biden, not that much. Bernie, not at all. But the Republican Party, constantly. So let's watch it. Let's see. Democratic Plantation? Let's go. Let's figure it out, okay? Let's find out how to escape the Democratic Plantation, an easy guide. Let's hear these high IQ, big brain Republican talking points for why black people should actually vote Republican, okay?
Fact. From 1620 to 1865, the bodies of African-American men and women were enslaved in America. The year is now 2017,
that is true.
And the minds of these males and females are now enslaved. My name is Candace Owens, and you are watching my vlog series, The Myth of the Coon.
Huh. The red pill black girl. All right. I'm not going to comment on this.
In mid-2016, I escaped the Democrat plantation of thought, and I want to provide the rest of you guys at home watching.
To clarify, she escaped the Democratic plantation of thought at the exact same time it became extremely marketable and financially beneficial to be a Republican. Just to be perfectly clear, you know, it wasn't so much that she escaped it as she was led by like a bunch of dollar bills on like a fishing line. You know, just it's a coincidence, I'm sure, but
with a guide how to. Ready?
Let's do it.
The first thing you're going to need is internet access and a cell phone or computer. The second thing you're going to need is your brain. I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to gather that second item since it seems to be low on stock these days.
I feel like I'm watching like a MySpace video or something right now. I also like after that line, she delivers the emptiest look on her face. Like right now her synapses aren't even connected to her eyeballs and she's just sort of voiding out for a second. Like she was actually looking for an opportunity to deactivate the overheating brain while all of you gather your faculties.
Every 4 years, the Democrats rally to get the African-American vote, and we give it to them because, well, Republicans are racist, right? We usher.
So I like the use of the term we. It's interesting. Candace Owens hates the idea that black people are a monolith. In fact, she says Democrats are racist for treating them as one, but she uses the term we to describe the black vote, even though she is differing from the vast majority of black people who vote Democrat. It's interesting that she would appeal to the we here when she actively impugns people for even believing there's a we later on.
Them straight into the White House where they immediately forget about all of the promises that they made to us. Our blind allegiance to the Democratic Party.
A lot of assumptions being made here. Blind allegiance. So she just said that, again, us as well. So she just said that black people vote for the Democrats because the Republicans are racist. But now she's saying it's blind allegiance. That's not blind allegiance. If you're black, the Republican Party being racist is actually a really great reason to vote Democrat. That's actually a super good reason, as it so happens. So I like how she is, without even addressing the argument, instantly dismissing the presumed claim that Republicans are racist by insinuating that the only reason they could be voting Democrat is blindly.
Stems from around the 1960s when Martin Luther King sat in a prison cell and then hopeful.
Oh no! Are we going to use letter of a Birmingham jail to defend the fucking Republican Party?
President John F. Kennedy made a phone call to his wife, Coretta Scott. He did everything he could to get Martin Luther King out of prison and would eventually introduce the Civil Rights Bill in 1963. End of story. That's it. Hang it up. I mean, obviously that is proof that the Democrats weren't racist. They were absolutely crucial.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody make that argument for how the Democrats aren't racist. I'm saying in my whole life, I have never heard a person say the Democrat Party isn't racist because John F. Kennedy made a call to get Martin Luther King out of prison. I don't think I've ever heard that one before, but that's a weird straw man. I mean, it was nice of JFK to do that, I guess. I mean, it was preferable to the alternative.
And outlawing discrimination with this bill, and things were automatically desegregated. The end. Vote Democrat until you die, right?
So, again, no. This is really weird. This would be like saying, like, back in 1953, a man who voted Democrat once patted a black man on the shoulder and said, you know, you're one of the good ones, and then walked on. And that's it, huh? Black people have voted Democrat ever since. No, I don't think black people are voting Democrat because of what John F. Kennedy did. I think they're voting Democrat because of maybe more contemporary information. It's kind of like a combination of a bunch of really complicated social factors. Again, I've never heard anyone cite the JFK thing as an argument for black people voting for Biden in this case.
Wrong. See, what that textbook doesn't tell you is that Democrats are actually the ones that imposed segregation. And they were the ones majorly against voting to desegregate our communities in both the 1950s and the 1960s. Oh,
no way. Our textbooks didn't tell us the Democratic Party was racist back in the 1950s and 60s. You know what else they didn't tell you? The Democrats did the KKK. Also, they were in the South. The Democrats, you know what else your history books didn't tell you? Democrats can be racist too. Yeah, I don't know what exactly the argument is here. There's actually a really good video on the Southern strategy and the party switch out there. I think Knowing Better did it. Knowing Better? Here, hold on. This video was good enough that it's actually worth taking a look at. Like, I'll actually rep it. Knowing Better party switch. Yeah, the party switch, political ships of Theseus. The argument is that essentially, people's political alignments, like the way they actually voted back in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, was more accurately determined by their geography than their actual party affiliation. I'm simplifying because this is actually super, super complicated, but the basic gist of it is that for the longest time, Democrats were in the South, Republicans were in the North, but due to a variety of very complicated social and political factors, there was sort of a geographic shift there. For a while, Democrats had progressive support in the Northeast and also reactionary support in the South, but the Democrat Party ended up having to sort of split their party line after the Republicans got better at appealing to those Southerners, or the Dixiecrats. And essentially, the most reactionary part of America was sort of co-opted into the Republican Party. But it was a gradual process. It was a complicated one, and there are lots of exceptions and variances, you know? And again, I recommend this video very, very strongly. This guy did a phenomenal video on this particular subject. But it's worth looking into. Yeah, the Great Realignment, exactly. So were the Democrats once the racist party? Yes. Are the Democrats currently the racist party? Yes. But are the Republicans much worse? Absolutely. Yes, undeniably they are. 100%. Absolutely they are. And you can see this when you look at every major political and social issue. When it comes to defunding welfare and food stamps, that's a Republican thing. When it comes to calling Black Lives Matter the largest civil rights protest in the history of this country, a group of terrorists and gangs and thugs, that's the Republican Party. When it comes to prioritizing over-policing and downplaying police brutality against black people, that's the Republican Party. When it comes to divesting in inner-city communities and retreating economic plans that are meant to help historically black areas, that's the Republican Party. When it comes to prison reform, that's the Democratic Party. Private prisons, Republican Party. The whole... Now, of course, there are complexities at any given point. There are bad Democrats and there are acceptable Republicans. But as a whole, today, the lines are pretty darn clear. So when Candace Owens is dishonestly using this like, well, back in the 1960s, there were some Democrats who fought against social rights. No, that doesn't matter. And that's perfectly accounted for. Doesn't matter.
And those Klansmen that you guys are freaking out about.
Oh, no. She's actually... No, wait. She's actually going to do it. She's actually... They didn't tell you the Ku Klux Klan was a Democrat thing, did they? Listen, if you didn't know the Ku Klux Klan was a Democrat thing 100 years ago, then you were failed by our American education system. Hey... Who does the Ku Klux Klan support today? They don't talk about that very often, do they? That's interesting, you know? Oh, they're all, oh, the Democratic Ku Klux Klan. Well, they've been endorsing Republicans for decades now. They were at the fucking Unite the Right rally. So, yeah. I don't know.
They were all Democrats. Yes, woo! Democrats were the ones that were lynching African-American people. By 1900, 22 black Republicans served in the U.S. Congress.
1900. So again, this is the thing. I need to reiterate this, by the way. Most black people are familiar enough with their history to know that what Candace Owens saying right now is fucking bullshit. Black people aren't going to be like, oh, the KKK was Democrat? Candace Owens is speaking to the idiot whites who are actually watching this video. Those are the people Candace Owens is speaking to. She's giving them talking points for how they're actually the anti-racists. But black people aren't going to be convinced by this shit. If black people were... Listen, if you actually believe black people are being moved over by this stuff, you're more racist than Candace fucking Owens is, okay? Because these are some dumb as fuck talking points, all right? Black people are familiar enough with their history, generally speaking, to know when they're being fucking lied to, okay? And that's why they're one of the most reliable Democratic voter bases. Because you people keep fucking up. Sorry.
The Democrats didn't elect a single one until 1935.
Yeah.
Pop quiz! Do you guys know what the first movie that was ever screened at the White House was?
Was it The Birth of a Nation from Woodrow Wilson, a representative of the South, an area that is now massively Republican?
Anybody? It was a movie entitled The Klansman, and it was screened by...
Oh, wasn't it? Wait. Wasn't it A Birth of a Nation? Was there like The Klansman came first?
President Woodrow Wilson, also a Democrat. But the Civil Rights Act, Candace, come on, it doesn't matter.
Wait, first movie screened in White House. Yeah. Wait, what? Originally called The Klansman. Oh, I get it. I get it. Its secondary title is The Klansman, and she uses that title because she knows her audience is too stupid to think a movie called The Birth of the Nation is a bad thing. That makes sense. She uses the title The Klansman because she knows if she just said A Birth of a Nation, the fucking 40 IQ dribbling Republican idiots watching this would think, oh, that doesn't sound so bad. I love the state. Nobody ever calls A Birth of the Nation The Klansman, ever. I've never heard it called The Klansman before. There's a reason she chose that title. I like that, though. Know your audience, right?
Sure. 2 Democratic presidents did that. Wait. They sure did, oddly enough.
Why is she so smug? Why does she come off like a fucking MySpacer here? Like, this is juvenile. They sure did. This woman testifies to Congress when she's brought up there. Like, To me, personally, she just comes off kind of, like, cringy as fuck. I don't know. She's one of the largest political commentators, like, period. She's paid well for what she does. Anyway, so how much of this video is just going to be about the party switch? Because, again, not only did the party switch happen, even if it hadn't, the behavior of the Democratic Party a century ago isn't indicative of current behavior.
That act was also followed by a string of protests in the North from African-American people. Do you know why? Because it was followed by...
What?
They sure did, oddly enough. That act was all about the Civil Rights Act.
Civil Rights Act.
Come on, it doesn't matter. 2 Democratic presidents did that. They sure did. Oddly enough, that act was also followed by a string of protests in the North from African-American people. Do you know why? Because it was basically smoke and mirrors. There was still police brutality, and it still allowed for discrimination in employment, meaning...
Wait! Are you suggesting that the civil rights movement didn't go far enough and that there's still police and employment inequalities? Then what the fuck is your problem with Black Lives Matter? Wait, you can't hold both of these positions simultaneously. You can't say the Democrats don't get to take credit for the Civil Rights Act because it didn't go far enough, but then say BLM is going too far. You can't, the doublethink here is insane. You can't believe both of these things. So when it comes to today and BLM, the Civil Rights Act is enough. There's no more legal racism. Find me one racist law in the book. But when it comes to whether the Democrats are racist or not, dude, the Civil Rights Act was basically like nothing. It was smoke and mirrors. It actually didn't go nearly far enough to protect black people. Actual doublethink. That's incredible. If you're watching this video as a conservative-leaning person, do you have a defense for this? I'm really asking, do you have a defense for this? This is literal doublethink. You hold two contradictory positions in your head at the same time and evoke whichever one is most convenient for you. Whenever, whenever the time arises.
Black people still couldn't get jobs and make a living. Oh, but your textbooks say that everything was dandy after that. So, hey,
no,
don't believe me. You see,
what textbooks are saying? Wait. She sounds like an SJW right now. You read the Civil Rights Act fixed everything, but, okay, there are still problems. This literally sounds like a progressive talking, but she's against all the progressive movements.
The problem is that African Americans have not yet developed an apparatus to make Democrats make good on their promises once they are in the office. So
what? Wait, what? The black people have not been able to hold the Democratic Party to account. What is Black Lives Matter?
Instead, what do? We complain about it for 4 years, and then we get right back on the wheel. We are literally like hamsters on a wheel.
Well, okay. So first of all, I take issue with the evocation of idpol here. First of all, this isn't a we. You're a paid Republican disinfo shill, okay? This isn't a we situation. Second of all, every Democratic voter is on that exact same hamster wheel, okay? Just to be perfectly clear. So your argument here is that the voters for the Democratic Party don't have enough of a checking or balancing mechanism to make sure that the things they want actually get done. How is that different from the Republican Party? Like the Republican Party, like Donald Trump ran on promising a bunch of shit he hasn't done. It's been 4 years he's done nothing. He's been a miserable failure of a president, and all the Trump supporters, like all of them, are right back at it voting for him again. Like, this is, for one, this isn't necessarily true, and for two, this is not specific to the black population who vote Democrat.
Run. That's funny. I thought I was going places. Run. So weird. Run. I don't understand. Stop.
I'm gonna kill myself.
The madness. Literal hamster mentality is what African Americans are suffering from each and every time they invest in a Democratic candidate.
So to be perfectly clear, this is her calling black people stupid. Like, if she's going to do idpol, I'll do idpol too. That is exactly what she is doing here. Remember how there was a select group of Bernie or busters who were complaining about low information black voters who voted Biden over Bernie in the primaries? And those people were basically just saying black people were too stupid to know what's good for them? That's pretty much what she's doing right here. The difference is, instead of encouraging them to vote for Bernie Sanders, who is a good person, she is encouraging them to vote Republican, which is bad. So it's actually worse than that by quite a large margin.
I mean, does no one want off the wheel? Maybe not. I had a hamster and he loved that freaking wheel. Rest in peace, Buster. Vote for us. We love black people.
Is this like a TikTok video? Why is this framed like this? Like, no, who's the target demographic? Yeah, I feel like I'm watching like a very cringy Shoe on Head video. Like, Shoe on Head has the same kind of parlance, but it's not anywhere near this fucking obnoxious. Probably because Shoe on Head is actually like a fucking boomer e-girl, and Candace Owens is like a multi-millionaire grifter, so it comes off a little disingenuous here.
Oh, wait a second. Didn't you say that 4 years ago? I mean, yeah, but you can't vote for the other guys. They're racist. The African-American community is suffering from a poor memory with a healthy spoonful of indoctrination. I mean...
So, just to be clear, not once, it's been 3 minutes, 42 seconds, not once has Candace Owens mentioned any political policy to come out in the past half century. The past half century. She has not once talked about Biden or Trump, or Hillary or Trump. This video came out in 2017, so Biden wouldn't be relevant right now. She has not once mentioned anything actually happening today. So do you think now she's going to talk about how the Republicans were actually the abolitionists back 1,400 years ago? Or sorry, wait, 140 years ago. My bad. Sorry, we got a little exponential there. Okay, so this is literally all just going to be about pre-contemporary America.
From the time that we are in grade school, we are told Democrats, good, Republicans, bad, and we repeat
no arguments so far
without ever stopping and just researching. Do you want to know why Democrats who own the media are working so tirelessly to tell you that if you ever vote against them, you are going to be waking up one day with Klansmen surrounding you? Because
it's true. And then Trump got elected and defended Klansmen at the Charlottesville rally, and then supported the far-right Proud Boys. Yeah, it's because it literally fucking happens. Yeah, he literally encouraged poll watchers to go illegally and engage in voter intimidation at ballot boxes. And as historically this tends to happen in districts with plenty of people of color. Like this literally is happening. Like today, not right now.
If they lost even 25% of the African-American vote, they would be in deep trouble.
Then make an argument for the Republican Party.
All of their globalist efforts would die. Seriously. In fact, that's why they're working overtime to also marginalize other groups like transgender people and gay people. They are...
Wait, what does marginalize mean to Candace Owens? Wait, how are the Democrats anti-trans or gay? By marginalized, does she mean represent the interests of?
Scaring everybody at every corner. The mission is simple, guys. Divide and conquer.
Wait, how is that divide? Wait. This is unhinged. Wait, how is that dividing? So wait, the Republican Party is pro-gay, pro-trans? There are conservative judges of the Supreme Court literally talking right now about getting rid of gay marriage. They removed healthcare protections for trans people. So her argument, unironically, is that the Democratic Party is engaging in a divide and conquer plan by representing the interests of different demographics of people.
Wake up. Read a book, and not one that was handed to you purposefully during your free education through to high school.
Nice. Very nice. So wake up, sheeple. Read some of my books to educate you on race history. See, I genuinely don't understand. Guys, I need you guys to help me here. I genuinely don't understand the argument that she's trying to make right now. Like, seriously. So she hasn't made a single argument for the modern Republican Party or any argument against the contemporary Democratic Party. And she's saying that they are divide and conquering? I have no idea. But people are convinced by this.
Your education wasn't free. You paid for it with your mind. Your mind has been completely shackled by utter lies and a false reality.
This is just conspiracy bait. American textbooks mention the fact that the Democrat and Republicans weren't... The party switch was mentioned in the textbook. None of the information that you have shared, none of it, is left out of good American textbooks. Now, there are maybe textbooks in, like, Texas, leave it out. But...
Remember that infamous Alabama Birmingham protest where black people were being hosed and dogs were sent on them? Democrats sent those dogs.
Yeah, the Dixiecrats, who then, in a state that is now majority Republican, that's crazy. Wow. And a bunch of previously Democratic senators and congressmen ended up switching to the Republican Party after the Democratic Party moved left. Yeah. Yeah, 60 years ago. Yeah, the Dixiecrats. Yeah, that's a thing in high school textbooks.
And those hoses. Do you remember after Brown versus the BOE Supreme Court decision?
She actually won't talk about anything contemporary. Is that it? Wait, is this actually it? I'm bored.
That calling me a 4-letter word is going to make me come back to the plantation? You've lost your minds.
Who thinks calling you the C slur is going to bring you back to... What? I like it when black grifters like this get up in arms too, as though they're like a big horde of people calling them the N-word because they won't vote Democrat, okay? I'm sorry. Listen, cancel me for not accepting her lived experiences, okay? I don't buy it, all right? You live nonstop in the lap of luxury, surrounded by white supremacists who know that you're on their side because they pay you millions of dollars, okay? Like, the idea that you're, like, fighting some sort of on-the-ground war against the racist Democrats is just not true.
Our current president has been accused of being a lot of...
here we go. Here we go. Current president. Okay, finally, current.
Anti-Semitic among them. Don't you find it interesting that there are no Jews lined up throwing yarmulkes at the White House or rioting like fools in the street? Do you want to know?
Rioting like fools in the street. You hear that? So she's like, actually, the Civil Rights Act didn't go far enough. Honestly, JFK was a reformist who would have been guillotined by W.E. Du Bois. Honestly, JFK was just kind of a counter-revolutionary. And then when it comes to people like protesting with BLM, and she's like, these thugs marching in the streets, these fools. Also, I'm pretty sure the Jewish population of this country is majority Democrat voter. I could, hold on. How do Jews vote America? The hardcore Zionist voter base is mostly like evangelical Christians. Will American Jews continue to vote Democratic in 2020? Can I just get a number? About 70% of American Jews vote for the Democratic Party. Okay, yeah, so it's about.
Why that is? It's because they're educated and they know for a fact.
Wait, hold on.
In the street. Do you want to know why that is? It's because they're educated and they know for a fact that he is not anti-Semitic. And
then why do Jewish people keep voting Democrat?
He is no one to fear. But African Americans, we do all the dirty work for the Democrats. There's no word for an Uncle Tom in the Jewish community because...
Whoa, what the fuck are we... Wait. What the fuck are we talking about? First of all, Candace Owens, you have spoken with Ben Shapiro, who has literally used the term bad Jew to refer to Jewish people who don't support Israel, okay? Like... yeah, Gino, yeah, Jews in name only. Like, yeah. This is, first of all, you have talked to people who engage in this behavior, okay? Second of all, what is this? Jewish people aren't rioting because they're educated. They're voting Democrat. Jews are voting Democrat. And Jews do participate in the riots, by the way. Very progressive communities of Jewish people in New York and California and elsewhere are participating in the Black Lives Matter rallies. It's not just black people at those rallies. Jewish people are there too. Jews don't want Trump. Trump supports white supremacists. Trump supports neo-Nazis. Trump is okay with people like the Proud Boys who make jokes about Jews and do the little nose honk thing on television. When she says Jews, she means like Orthodox Jews? Yeah, no shit she does. The very small fragment of them that vote Republican.
Because they know that when one of their people makes it outside and actually sees reality, the rest of them better follow. So you can follow me or you can keep pulling the figurative cotton. I will not be offended.
Okay, so that's nice. So you're, so the Democrats are racist, but she's saying you're a cotton picker if you continue to vote Democrat, in spite of her not having made a single fucking argument in this entire video. This whole video, I would love to argue with Candace Owens. That would be a dream. She actually, this video, I know we skipped through a little bit at the end, 6 minutes in, not a single, not one argument. Lamau, she is literally a racist? You fucking think? She's a grifter. I don't care what her opinions of black people are, but she serves the interests of white supremacy. Candace Owens denies ever experiencing racism growing up, but she lied and did. This link is not working for me. Hold on. The Oklahoma Eagle, Candace Owens denies. Candace Owens said she never experienced racism, but a 2008 discrimination lawsuit determined that was a lie. Oh, I remember this. Yeah, she's like, well, I've never experienced racism. She literally filed a fucking lawsuit because she felt she was treated with racial bias. Literally. It is the extent to which she is comfortable lying about her positions is unfathomable. She is an empty void. So she will never argue with a person like me. She will only ever talk with people she knows will agree with her. Every receipt proving Candace Owens is a con artist who's following the money. This is a long list. Lawsuit with the NAACP. Owens now calls the NAACP one of the worst groups for black people, even though that organization helped her win a racial discrimination lawsuit. In May of 2018, BuzzFeed reported Candace Owens was the CEO of an anti-Trump liberal-leaning website called Degree 180. Owens wrote in 2015 it was good news that the Republican Tea Party would eventually die off. Degree 180 also talked about Trump's penis size and him being racist with an immigrant wife. This is actually not that uncommon. I have insider information that one of the largest reactionary news sites is owned by a progressive person. I can't talk about it. I have insider info, but I can't talk about it. But one of the largest ones. Whatever you're thinking, it's about that big. It's a big one. And it's owned by like a pro-BLM, pro-trans person. But the shit they post is practically neo-Nazi. These people are all grifters, okay? Yeah, went on Fox News. Another lawsuit. Wait, what? Back in January of this year, Owens attacked New York Representative AOC for being fiscally irresponsible because the newly elected congresswoman couldn't afford an apartment in Washington, D.C. However, reporter Nathan Bernard exposed Owens by posting a lawsuit that showed she had, quote, rented a $3,500 apartment, lived there for 6 months rent-free, then claimed she had gotten toxic mold sickness and threatened to sue her landlord to avoid paying rent. Holy shit. What a fucking grift artist, dude. Holy shit. That is incredible. So yeah, to be perfectly clear, there is literally no reason to ever believe anything Candace Owens says. She is a hollow void of a person full of money. But this Democratic Plantation narrative is used by a lot of people, and I'm encouraging you all to look at it critically. Okay?